Good afternoon. I am on take 4 of this video, so we'll see if this works. I am not used to doing video chats or making a video message for my classes, but I think it's important that we are able to put a face to the message that we're talking about. And as we move into Module 2, there isn't a whole lot more important than make personal than the relationships that we build to create that trust that's needed in schools. I am super excited by the postings that I've read. I am really glad. I'll probably send a recap out of those because I think it's important to kind of reflect back on the conversations we've had. I've had a couple questions about the assignment that was due. Please know that if you turn in something and I have a question or there's an issue or there's something that we need to work on, I will get it back to you. You can have a chance to redo it and we'll make it work. The point of learning is to learn, not to necessarily hold you to the deadline, because if you learn it a minute after or you misunderstood something, I want to make sure we get it right, and so you will have that opportunity. So please do not worry if you if you have a concern about the assignment you turned in. I will work with you on it and we will make it right. We are talking about relationships and building that inclusive environment. And I think as we move forward, there's never been a more important time to look at our environments and see if they are inclusive. Often institutional practices can keep that from happening. For example, a very simple one, I worked in a school and I was new to the school as a principal coming in, and I was looking at their articulation process, and I found out that when they leveled students, they did it based on teacher recommendation and didn't do a whole lot of looking at data or where students had performed. And so the first time we went through the leveling process, we had almost 0 minorities recommended to take honors courses. And the reason why was teacher recommendation, and they had been tracked in middle school prior to coming to the high school for a wide variety of reasons, and none of them appropriate in my opinion, but however, that's where they were. And so when I reviewed what the levelings were for each student, I went back to the team and I'm like, this doesn't make sense to me. How can we possibly not have any minority students in the honors classes? And so we walked through the process, and at that point when we got there, I'm like, this institutionalized practice doesn't work. It's not appropriate, and it keeps kids from being able to have opportunities. And so what we did is we went back and looked at test data. We began to look at potential instead of what the past said by itself. They're all data points to help make a better decision. And so in that way, we greatly increased the number of minorities represented in our honors classes, and we opened up those doors for them that they didn't have before, just because the system kept them from getting there, and because no one looked at it closely, it didn't happen. Was I a great person because I did that? No, I just happened to be at the right time when that conversation was coming up, and it's questions I knew that I was really cared about and passionate about to make sure that I asked. And so those are how changes happen. People who ask questions, people who challenge the status quo. And in order to do that, you have to have the trust of the people around you. And so through that process and working through how we looked at things different, how we changed that institutionalized practice, I built trust with those around me because we were able to talk through the conversation. It wasn't a decision that I made by itself and told them they needed to do it. It was something we worked through together, because that's how we grow. And so your questions this week talk about relational trust, relation capital, building a community, effective communication. All of those are extremely powerful tools and powerful components of having a positive school environment that is inclusive and it provides opportunities for everyone. So that inclusive component is something that you really, really need to look at. And in my time, in the last, unfortunately, almost 30 years in education, we've moved from opportunities for students because we've gotten pretty good at that. We just have to continually make sure that our process is in place that continues to happen, to looking at our hiring practices and really thinking about what's the potential there as well, and how can we open up those doors so that our staffing reflects what our school community is. And I think that's really important. And it's not just about minorities. It's about all parts of our society being able to be representative so students can find themselves in an adult in any building. James Comer, and I'm sure you've heard this quote many times, that no significant learning occurs without a significant relationship. There's never been a truer quote to what really is the heart of what we do as educators. So, as you look at your environment, as you think about the future, as you think about your role in leadership, how can you make sure those things are happening? And here's the other part as you go through is you're going to find it's uncomfortable. Sometimes it's really uncomfortable to look and have the conversation about things that maybe you didn't understand or maybe you thought but actually weren't. And as a leader, being able to have that conversation and being able to look at yourself and see where maybe you had some implicit bias that you didn't even realize that was created by institutionalized practices for many years or by things in your own environment when you grew up or that made you a person that maybe have you reflect differently on things. We need to bring all perspectives to the table, but we also need to recognize that our perspective may not be right. And we have to work through that process. And as a leader, if you do that, and your staff recognizes that, they're much more open to the process as well. Change isn't easy. Recognizing what institutional barriers there may be isn't easy, but it's what we must do and confront as leaders. So I hope that you have a great week. I am going to set up another synchronous session for next week, not for this week. It's a short week and there's lots of things happening for everybody, so we're going to do it next week. And I will send the link out to that next weekend. It'll probably be on Tuesday again. I hope that you have a great week. I hope you work through these questions. And I will be working on grading your projects that you've turned in so far. And please know, take any of my feedback, and if you want to make adjustments, you are certainly welcome to do that. But I'm hoping you're having a great time going through thinking. And great time sometimes with academic work isn't always the right term. But if you're in this program, you're passionate about leading and you're passionate about making a difference. And that's what makes it fun. Our passion for doing things better is what makes us leaders and helps us lead others. So enjoy your week, and I will be in touch soon.